What's up everybody and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. It's time to recap what went down on Teen Mom 2 Season 9 Episode 2 this week. We started off with the twins taking over as producers, asking Addie how she feels about going to kindergarten for the first time. I swear Gracie sounded exactly like Leah when she told Addie that she better listen to her as she explained exactly what kindergarten was gonna be like. Too freaking cute. Leah then heads over to her boyfriend's house to talk about the kids going back to school. Before we head on over to North Dakota, where we find out that Adam is actually up for a rescheduled visit with Aubree after skipping the last one, but no one is happy about it, especially not Aubree, because they all know that he's just going to be a no-show again. I am on the same boat as like the divorce on this, because it's not good for the children when the parents are allowed to constantly like get their hopes up and disappoint them again. Meanwhile, somewhere in the Carolinas, Janelle finds out from that annoying ass producer that Andrew suddenly wants to see Jace again. Janelle is absolutely not happy about it. She says that she doesn't want like a parental figure running in and out of Jace's life because it is really damaging to him, and it really damaged her as a child growing up with her father, and she doesn't want to do that to Jace, which is really freaking funny because Janelle technically doesn't have the last say in that, because Janelle is not Jace's official mother, right? Because she herself was doing the same damn thing to him for years, if not still now. There was a time when she was supposed to be watching her child and she screamed at her mom because she was going on spring break and didn't want to spend the time with her son. Spring break from what education? What job? Your guess is as good as mine, but she literally was like, I don't want to be with Jace. I'm going on spring break. Over in Dover, Isaac wants to go over to Javi's house. He still is very much attached to Javi, and so he wants to join his brother Lincoln over there, you know, to spend time with his other dad. And so he asks his mom Kail, who tells him to FaceTime his dad Joe to make sure that he's okay with splitting his time, because it was Joe's time with Isaac. And so Joe agreed to it. Javi of course agreed to it as well, and Kail dropped the two boys together off at Javi's house, and that was as good as gold. I was really happy to see that this is a continuing trend, and I hope that it's something that they continue for life. Down south in Florida, we find out that Louis quit his job as a truck driver and moved to New York City to do God knows what. Most likely nothing, okay? Briana invites Devon over to her house to talk about like how he kind of started slacking off as a parent when he got a job, and you know, it's the same conversation that they have literally like every time she sits him down. It's, hey, you've been slacking. Can you stop slacking? Devon's like, all right, I'll stop slacking. I got you, girl. And then, you know, they just pick back up like next episode every single time. It's a constant loop with these two. And so she also invites him to come to the birthday party that she's throwing for her other daughter, Stella. You know, just come for Nova, you know, as her dad, spend time with her, hang out with her, like let it be like a little bit more of a family situation. And Devon is all for it. Like, it is amazing how nice he can be with Briana. Like, he just still needs to step up as a parent, because it's sad and Nova deserves a lot more. Meanwhile, in the Carolinas, Janelle and Barbara find a park bench to talk about Andrew on. Janelle says that she doesn't want Jace to have the same disappointment that she had growing up without her dad, and Barbara agrees and says that Jace only ever really like asks about Andrew like periodically. It's not very often at all, which is great for all of them. And she says that whenever he does ask about Andrew, she shows him this one photo that she has of Andrew when he had long hair, and that is an imagination I wish I did not involuntarily have, okay? The two of them agree that they don't want Andrew to just all of a sudden appear in Jace's life. They want to do it like very, very gradually for him. And then Barbara FaceTimes Andrew and tells him that he can't just suddenly pop up in Jace's life after nearly a decade. She asks him why now, and he claims that he's always wanted to, but never had the opportunity. And it's like, that doesn't make any kind of sense. He could have contacted Janelle or Barbara after all this time if that's truly what he wanted. I do not buy what the hell he is selling here. Barbara calls him out rightfully, saying, you know, you've never contacted me. The family you claimed wanted to know about Jace too never contacted me either. And he had nothing to respond to that. He then says that he's got a bachelor's degree and a union job and doesn't drink, so of course he's like the perfect dad. And then he of course starts to immediately deflect from like his ain't shitness by being like, you know what the true lowlifes in this world are? Mothers who keep loving fathers away from their children. Andrew, riddle me this. What kind of loving father can spend a decade away from his child, never call him, never see him, doesn't show up to sports practices, doesn't show up to like little preschool, kindergarten graduations, grade 1, grade 2, first day of school, nothing. You, my friend, are not a loving father whatso freaking ever. Like, get out of here. Over in North Dakota, Randy takes the kids to the gym to promote his YouTube channel. It's great that he is encouraging them to get into fitness too. And then he sits down with Aubree to talk about her failed visitation with her dad, and she basically puts a hit out on Adam. She's like, okay, look, Grandpa, I know you're trying to lose weight, but I'm trying to lose my dad, so I need you to do me a favor and hit him with a good one too. And Randy unfortunately denies the request, and then he tells her, listen, I assure you, his flakiness has nothing to do with you. You're amazing, you're great, you're all of that. Your dad just is not that responsible, and he's never really been, but just know that at the very end of the day, it's his loss, not yours. And it's great to see all of them assuring Aubree. One thing I have to say about the show is, on the positive side, all of these children are going to grow up to be amazing communicators, like talking about their feelings, like their likes, their dislikes. Like, they get to do this more than any other child that I've ever seen, especially myself. Like, this was not a thing for me growing up, right? Talking about your feelings and opinions on things. So it's amazing to see. But at the same time, the producers and the cast, they all beat topics down to the ground and talk about them ad nauseum, to the point where these children will most likely start to obsess over these things. You know, I think that in a normal world, with a parent like Adam, like the other parent, the functioning parent, would try to hide it as much as possible and surround their kid with love and distract them with how loved they are by their step parent and everybody else in their lives, their grandparents. But here in the Teen Mom world, these kids have to constantly talk about their pain. Oh, it was sad that your dad, like, they're prodding. It was sad your dad abandoned you, right? Right? How did you feel about it? Oh, you were disappointed? Don't worry, you're great. It's not your fault, it's your dad's fault. Again, a couple hours later, how sad was it that your dad abandoned you? Sad, eh? Don't worry, it's not your fault. Like, okay, it's great that she can handle this like really responsibly, but why do all these kids need to talk about the same things all the time? Look at where it gets like the adults, how freaking stunted they all are, especially, you know, people like Tyler and Kate, who are just so overly identified with these like really sad things that happen to them. I don't think it's gonna lead to anything good. You know, at a certain point, these parents need to step up and pull the plug on these shows for the sake of their children. I know y'all don't want to work. I know y'all don't want to go to school, but, you know, think about your children here. Now, with that rant being said, over in Dover, Kale drops off the boys at Javi's and gives Lauren some hardcore stank eye. Javi teaches the boys how to ride some two-wheeler bikes as well. Although Isaac was quite scared, he ultimately wound up doing it. Absolutely adorable. Before we move on over to Florida again, where Briana meets up with her friend Shirley to talk about Stella's upcoming birthday and reveals that Louis is coming out of the woodworks to attend. And get this, Louis, in all of his 30-something damn years of life, is broke with no job because he suddenly like quit a paying job that he had for no damn reason, despite having 2 kids. And he's got to depend on his 20-something-year-old baby mama to fund his trip over to Florida to celebrate his own child. Otherwise, he wouldn't come. How freaking pathetic is that? Like, come on. And speaking of beating topics down to the damn ground, we're now in West Virginia, where Corey sits down with the girls to talk to them about going back to school and Allie having a new aide, after we've already heard Leah have the same conversation with them probably at least like twice before, right? Like, Allie, when he asked her how she feels about having a new aide, she's like, we already talked about this. And I was like, Allie girl, I feel the exact same way. You poor kids have to talk about the same thing a million times over. I cannot imagine how annoying that is. Gracie then decides to pick up the conversation to talk about how she prefers having separate classes from Allie because Allie aggravates her. It was so sad because Allie on the other side was like, I prefer having classes together. Oh, my heart bleeds. So they're all just sitting there after that awkward little, you know, tidbit from Gracie, and Gracie's like, you know what, let me put these hot Cheetos down to tell you, Dad, about that damn unibrow you've got going on. She is such a freaking savage. No one can escape her drags, okay? Back in North Dakota again, Chelsea and her ailing hip bones head over to her mom's to talk about how Adam missing the deadline to pay his no-show fee caused his second visit to be canceled. Thank the heavens. Over in Florida again, Briana's preparing for Stella's birthday party that she flew Louis out for, and Shirley finds out while she was browsing her little Instagram that Louis took up a DJing gig nearby on the night when he was supposed to be helping them set up for Stella's damn birthday party. And on the flyer, he's acting like he's this hotshot, like DJ Louis is in town. Where is the little fine print that says because his 20-something-year-old baby mama flew him out because he is broke as SHIT and he ain't SHIT. He's a deadbeat daddy, don't come here. You know, like he was acting like he was hot stuff, and I could just imagine how irritating that is for Briana, you know, as a mother. You guys, so far this season is so boring I could cry right here at this moment. Janelle and Barbara are still beating the same Andrew topic down to the ground, except this time they've moved from park bench over to the flower bed and picked up 2 water bottles to continue talking about how Andrew's not going to suddenly disappear in Jace's life. Let's gradually introduce him. Barbara suggests that Andrew see Jace maybe twice a year to start off with, just in case he like goes away again. Like, okay, we've heard this, you know, at least 10 times now. Moving on. Things really get serious when we head over to West Virginia again, where Leah and Corey are taking the girls to the bus for their first day of school. Leah had called in with the school ahead of time to make sure that it was okay, that they could accommodate Allie's wheelchair on the bus. But when they get there and she goes to put the wheelchair on the bus, they go, oh no, we can't handle the wheelchair. We don't have the part that we need in order to have the wheelchair on the bus. And they are all extremely pissed, and rightfully so, right? Like they've already called to check ahead. Allie's been at the school for how many years? This is the 3rd grade. They still don't have an accessible bus. Shouldn't an accessible bus be a default? I mean, Leah was able to get the wheelchair to school by herself after. She was like, you know what, I'll just drive it to the school. But she's a stay-at-home mother, and a lot of parents with disabled kids don't have the same luxury. Like that could have ruined like their income if they're paid hourly. It could have messed up a meeting if they had a meeting at work. Like it just doesn't make sense for a school to be like, you know, inherently accessible for kids. You know, it's crazy how ableist the world that we live in is, and I absolutely feel for Leah and Corey. On her way to the school to drop off the wheelchair, Leah calls her boyfriend Jason to kind of vent about what went down, and he did a really good job of supporting her, calming her down and telling her, listen, you need to go confront the principal about the fact that you already asked for this to be accessible for your daughter. They agreed to it, and then they let you down. And how many times has this girl been going to the damn school? So I thought that was amazing advice. We're gonna head back up to Dover now and talk a little bit about Javi and Lauren going for a walk and talking about how nice it is that Javi gets to maintain a relationship with Isaac despite being divorced from his mom, Kail. And Lauren then talks about how she wants her own relationship with Kail. She kind of, you know, sounds a little bit like a fan, but I digress. She's like, I want my own relationship with Kail because I'm here to stay. Y'all, we all know that these two have as much chemistry as me and my cell phone bill. So it's no freaking surprise that Javi kind of chuckled a little bit at Lauren, the backup, literally thinking that she's here to stay. And not only was Lauren the backup, she was the backup's backup. Remember, Javi was on Briana, then he started like fooling around with Kail as his backup, and then when Kail and Briana didn't work out, this chick just came tumbling along. So, you know, the fact that she thinks she's here to stay for good is a little bit tickling. Kail and the boys are on their way to some kind of little birthday party, and Lincoln kind of calls Kail fat on their way there, as Isaac talks about how there are so many boys in their family, with Lauren being pregnant with one as well. Lincoln takes a break from dragging his mom to tell Isaac that Javi's new son isn't his brother, and Kail backs him up, which leaves poor Isaac so confused because Isaac sees himself as Lincoln's full brother. He sees Javi as another dad. Like, you know, all of this is so much for his poor, sweet, innocent young mind, right? Like, he was going to Javi's dad just the same as Lincoln is. He calls Javi dad just like Lincoln does. So why isn't this his brother as well? It was quite sad to see. Isaac then tells Kail that she can't marry anyone after Javi because he thinks that you can only get married once. And then Kail corrects him. She's like, no, I can always remarry. Like, you know, I might even marry Lux's dad. It's like, listen, sis, work on letting Lux's dad take you out in public first before you even start thinking about a marriage proposal. Like, let's simmer down a little bit here. So now let's head back over to Florida, where we, you know, of course, no, I don't even want to say realize. We know Louis never came over the night before to help up with setting up for his daughter's birthday, but he decided to show his deadbeat face the next morning, and Briana's entire family pays him dust, as they should. You know, keep it quiet, keep it mute, let him be there. Don't like aggravate him, berate him or whatever, but don't even like try to be fake with him. I really have to say that I love the way that Briana handles Louis. You know, like she funded his trip to go there just for her daughter. Like obviously she hated it. Like it was ridiculous that she even has to do that for a man significantly older than her, but she did it for her child, and she didn't berate him, she didn't put him down, she didn't yell at him, she just did it for her child. And like Shirley and her sister kind of try to amp her up sometimes to like confront him, but she's like, you know what, this is just who he is. I know he's a deadbeat. Yelling at him is not going to change it, right? Like putting him down is not going to change it. It might even drive him away further. So I'm just gonna, you know what, keep it civil while I can. And I like that she does that. She's not yelling in front of her kids like some of the other parents do. And you know, it's healthy at the end of the day. That is the healthiest thing you can do for your kids, and she's doing an amazing job. So the party starts, and Devon actually did show up. I'm not surprised because he does keep his word to Briana on those sorts of things. And in he comes with an unwrapped box of Huggies for Stella as a birthday gift. And Nova wanted to swim with him. We don't know if he ever swam, but you know, I'm pretty sure that they had a great time at that party. And that concludes what went down on Teen Mom 2 Season 9, Episode 2. And as usual, I'm more excited to hear what you have to say about everything. So please make sure to leave all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and we'll chat. You can also like this video, subscribe for more, feel free to share it with your friends as well, and follow me across social media where I absolutely love chatting with you. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.